So what is going on about EPATT? So there's a few things. EPATT was originally supposed to leave actual Stanford on August 31st of 2019 of this year. We do have a 2-year extension, so we will be on the actual Stanford campus until at least 2021. So that's great news, because that's 3 more years of us at EPATT. Well, 2.5, I should say, right? But that's awesome news. But there are options, and we are really working hard on trying to get some of these options done. And I just want to share some of the ideas, okay? Nothing's set yet, nothing's confirmed yet, but there have been a lot of high-level speaking and a high on these things. Number one, our preferred choice. There's a plot of land on the east side of actual Martin Luther King Park. I think you all have seen it over there. It's undeveloped. It's about 2.8 acres, and it's currently in the San Mateo County Redevelopment Agency. So we have been speaking to San Mateo County about possibly building EPATT on that east end of MLK Park, which would be awesome because it's right by the soccer fields and the baseball field. It'll be centrally located, and also it'll help clean up that actual area. And so that's one option, and it's been a lot of negotiations, and we're still in those, but we're not quite sure what option is going to come up. Number two, and this is where you guys can help us. St. Francis Assisi Church in the back. There's a lot of land over by the actual soccer field, and we are talking to them right now about possibly kind of engineering the back and building an EPATT tutoring building at the church. And where you can help us is, after this meeting, I'm going to leave a sheet here, but if you can let us know if you go to that church, because the church is very interested in how many of our families attend their church. And so if we can identify that and give them your actual names in case they have any questions about EPATT, the actual services and things, it'll help us out a lot. One of the major concerns about the actual church is they don't have tennis courts. But EPATT built actual courts across the fence over at the Ravenswood City Schools, and that's now Ravenswood Middle School. It used to be Cesar Chavez. So we are also talking to the school and the school district about possibly bringing EPATT back over to Chavez, back over onto the RMS campus over there, and then offering it back in EPA. Because we know how tough it is to keep coming over to Stanford. We know that traffic's hard. We know everything is getting a lot more complicated. So I just really wanted to share our current 3 options. Again, we're going to be here until August 31, 2021, but we are working very quickly on these 3 options, and we're not quite sure which one is going to come out, but we're trying to really work all 3 options, and wanted you guys aware of what we're doing in case someone asks, what is EPATT trying to do and what is EPATT going to do?
All right, you guys, Happy New Year. As with New Year's bring new things, and one of the new things that's happening at EPATT is a slight schedule change. We recognize that getting to Stanford in the evening is not always easy. There's traffic, things have changed. And so one of the accommodations that we're going to make is that middle school students who attend EPATT on Tuesdays and Thursdays will now be getting out at 7 p.m. So that means if you have a student in ESG and you have a student in MSG, they're both done at 7 o'clock. In order to do that, we had to make some schedule adjustments and talk to tutors and try to figure it all out. So here's the new schedule. They have my class from 3:45 to 4 o'clock, tennis a little earlier, dinner quite short, so they're going to have to really be diligent about eating, and then 1 hour of tutoring from 6 to 7, and then you pick them up and they're out. So if that would help you, and you're now currently scheduled to be at EPATT on Mondays and Wednesdays, please talk to Adrian before you leave tonight so we can negotiate your schedule change. But this change was purely motivated by the fact that we understand that it is difficult to come here at 7 to pick up one kid, then come back again at 8 to pick up another. So I'm hoping that this helps somebody. If it turns out that it's effective, we may need to investigate other ways to do this, because we know that we also have students in middle and high school. So anyway, this is one big change that is happening in the world of EPATT. So there you have it. If you want to talk more about it, Adrian can answer your scheduling questions at the end. Okay, so if you're here today, you're normally used to us spending some time talking about the EPATT report card. We're going to spend just a little bit of time talking about it today, and I'm only going to say that I'm not going to be handing it out, so you will not receive your EPATT report card until next week. And there's a reason for that. Actually, there are like tons of reasons, but the primary reasons are because we really want to focus on college and career readiness, and the secondary reason is we have a database that's in development, so we're working out some of the data kinks and the layout kinks, so we'll be able to deliver it to you in a form that is easy for you to understand what it means, how you got credit, where you did and where you didn't. So instead of diving into those details, obviously if you're in the room, that means that you survived and you are still here. And so, that should bring you some solace. But I'm really going to talk more about college and career readiness. So if you want to know your score or whatever else, I'll start to, like I said, you'll all start to receive that next week. You'll get the hard copy. We are also working on a way for you to be able to log into our system so you can just see it real time and you don't have to wait to the end of every quarter to see it. So we have a new system that will hopefully eventually allow you guys to look at your EPATT report card whenever you want to, instead of having to wait for us to give it to you at the end after everything is done. So that is our ultimate desire, but it's just taken a while. I don't know if anybody's worked on a housing project. Anybody built a house from scratch with a contractor? So that's kind of what we've been doing, is we're building a database from scratch with a contractor, and it has had a lot of adventures. That's all I'll say about that. All right. So today is not about the EPATT report card, but it is about college and career readiness, which is our mantra. All right, there's a picture on the screen. I want you guys to tell me what you think happened here. Anybody know? Tornado, one guess? Hurricane? Tsunami? Bomb? Something like that. So this is a picture of the aftermath in Florida after Hurricane Michael. So this is in a place in Florida called Mexico Beach. So this is Mexico Beach, Florida. And as you can see, the neighborhood, I was looking at some pictures of before and after, and this neighborhood has been devastated. But there is one house that remains standing. I don't know what our audio setup is like. Where am I?
I tried it.
Great, so it's ready to go? All right, so we're going to focus on this house right here. And we're going to listen to the gentleman who built that house talk a little bit about why it's still standing. What did these men do to ensure that their house was ready to survive the big one? Okay, you got like 2 minutes. Discuss. They went beyond the code and doubled the strength of everything, the foundation. So from the foundation to the roof, they made sure everything was double, was beyond, was greater than the minimum. And I have a question for you guys. Do you think that was cheaper?
No.
Was it easier?
No.
No, it wasn't. All right. So what about your house? So we've been working with this whole your child as a house analogy since the fall. And the question that I'm going to pose it, but then I'm not going to give you a chance to answer it because we have some things we want to share. But here's the question that I want to start rolling around in your mind. Like those men, how focused were you this school year, on making sure that your house, your kid, was ready? Now, not ready for a hurricane, because we don't have those, you know what I mean? But ready academically. Did you go the extra mile for them in some academic form, right? Did you spend any extra time with them academically? Did you spend any extra money, right? Because a lot of times, you can tell what you really care about by how much money you spent on it. Unless it's love and hugs, and then we all like that. That's free. But it's the other stuff, right? Did you make any sacrifices? By the way, I know you guys make sacrifices. I see you driving to and from, right? I see all the things you do that are sacrifices, like any parent. But outside of the generic parent sacrifices? Were there other sacrifices that you made to make sure that your child could achieve college and career readiness? Okay? So while you mull that over, we're going to tell you how well our kids, our EPATT kids, your kids, are doing today in terms of college and career readiness. So in the fall, we told you about what college and career readiness was, what the expectations are from grade to grade to grade. But now it's time to tell you where we stand. So it's not time to be metaphorical or theoretical, right? Or try to project out what will it be. Today we're just going to tell you where things stand with our kids. And we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with the high school group. So, Maribel Zarate, come on down.
If you were in the high school group, you've seen this. This is our college and career readiness, the requirements that I asked for all of the students to be fulfilling, to be doing, to be college ready. And the reason why I asked from all of my students to be doing extracurricular activities, doing community service, their GPA, so their grades in school, and what classes they're taking is because these are the requirements they need to be able to apply to college. If a child does not have some of these things, they cannot apply to college. So for the high school group, I asked for all of this. But the one thing that I really want to focus on, do you have the, oh, you're going to do it for me?
I can, unless you
Sweet. No, you can do it because now I have to worry about the microphone. Is I want to focus on the reading. Because as you can see, the high school group reading this quarter was not as great. That means that it's in the red. So majority of my students in the high school group are not reading where they're supposed to be reading. So they're actually reading below where they need to be. And if you're not doing well with your reading, your GPA and your grades actually hurt as well. So as you can see, my two areas that we're going to be focusing on right now is your grades and your reading. Does this make sense? So like I said, if you're in the high school group, you should know this by heart by now, right? No? Yes. But the reason why I want to focus on the reading section a lot actually is because by the end of their high school career, so by their junior year, their senior year, they have to take this test called the SAT. So the SAT is telling colleges if your child is going to be able to make it in college. Are they ready to be doing college material? Are they able to just be able to deal with the rigor and the challenges that they're going to be facing academically in college? So for the SAT, there's two main sections. It tests their reading and their writing and their math skills. And you have benchmarks. So benchmarks being where they need to be. So the SATs are out of 1,600 with two sections. The reading and the writing being out of 800 and the math section being out of 800. If a child scores below 450 in the reading and 500 in the reading, that means that they're below benchmark. That means they're not college ready at all. They're actually 2 or a year behind. If they are in the yellow section, that means that they're approaching, but you can see their approaching is only 10 points of a difference. So it really doesn't matter. Once again, if you're in the yellow, you're not ready. You're still not meeting the benchmark. And the green, so if you're in if you get a 480 in the reading math and a 530 in the math section, you have met the benchmark. On your right, you will see the averages from the seniors this year. So this is the SAT scores that our seniors who are graduating this year and are applying to college right now, this is where they landed. So they're just barely making that benchmark. They're barely hitting that green area. Can someone read to me what it says in the red? Anyone? Volunteers? Am I picking people? Alyssa, what does the red say?
Reaching SAT benchmarks equals C grades first year of college.
So if you're reaching the green, it doesn't tell you that you're going to do well in college. It's just saying that you're going to be barely making it in those college classes. So for our students who are barely making that benchmark, how hard is college going to be for them? Very hard. So when we're talking about reading and your GPA in high school, it's because we're trying to make sure that by the time you're a senior, you're not just hitting the benchmarks in your SAT, you're actually exceeding them and you're performing really well, because we want to make sure that you're not just going to be struggling to get C's in college, that you're going to be trying to thrive for those, try to get those B's and A's. I wanted to show you guys the 3 different college systems we have. We actually have 4 college systems. Who can tell me the 4 college systems? Anyone? What was that?
Community college?
Yes, that's one. Community college. What's the other one?
State college?
State college, so the CSU system, state college. What's the other one?
UC system?
UC system, so University of California. And what's the last one?
Private.
Private universities. So up here, I don't have community college because are there any requirements to get into a community college? No. Everybody can go to, I can go to community college right now and just take an art class. So anyone can go to community college. What I have up here is CSU, so state system, UC system, and the private system. All of the high school students, what we're working towards is for them to be eligible to apply to a UC system. And the reason why is because if they're eligible, if they can apply to a UC system, they can apply anywhere. That's the first thing I wanted to say. Why do I have these graphs up here? It's because it shows us the graduation rate. So I'm sure you guys want your kids to go to college, but I'm guessing you also want them to graduate, right? That's the goal. We want to make sure they're not just going to college, but they're actually graduating from college. I can tell you right now that if a lot of these things don't change, your kid can still be eligible to go to college. But my question is, where do you want them to go? Do you want them to go to a university system where the graduation rate is 23% in 4 years or 59% in 6 years? Or do you want them to go to a system, the UC system, where the graduation rate is in the 80s? Or, even better, do you want them to go to a college system where the graduation percent is 90% or better, or 80% or better? Question. Who wants their kid to go here? Or here? Who wants their kid to go here? And it's actually the reason why I wanted to show you guys this stuff is because if you look at the bottom, I have put the acceptance rates. Acceptance rates is how many kids that apply get in. So if we're looking at 100 kids that apply to a CSU system, if 80% of those kids applied, if 100 students apply, how many of them are getting in? 80 of them. If I have 100 students applying to the UC system, how many of them are getting in? Between 15 and 50%. And if I have those same students applying to a private school, how many of those are getting in?
62.
So which ones are the most selective of up here? Which ones are the more strict about getting their students? Which one's the
Most competitive?
the most competitive, the hardest ones to get into? Private schools. Which ones have the higher graduation rate? So where do you think that our goal is for all of our students to be applying? Private schools. UCs or private schools. And yes, we can see that it's actually much cheaper, more affordable to go to CSU, but if it's taking you 6 years to graduate, now you're actually adding 2 more years to that debt. If you're looking at a private school, it tends to cost more money, but they also have more financial aid and they actually have more scholarships offered to you. So this might seem like the bigger ticket price or sticker price, but it actually sometimes ends up being the most affordable option. But can everybody get here? No. So any questions on any of this stuff?
Are you taking those numbers off a 4-year career or just 2 years transferring in?
The graduation rate. So this is within 6 years. This is 4 years. For the UC, you can see the different numbers. So the first bar is for 4 years, 5 years, and 6 years. And then for the CSU, the pink is for 4 years and the blue is for 6 years. Yeah.
Were you asking about 2-year transfers?
Yeah.
Oh.
He was wanting to know if you went to a junior college for 2 years and then you transferred?
Yeah, so that's another, what was the question, sorry?
What was that? Was the percentage off of that or just 4 years?
No, it's that. It's compiled into that. Any other questions on this stuff?
For
for junior college, I happen to know that the CSUs are having at least San Francisco,
Christina,
San
I
Jose.
can't totally hear
Sorry.
you. You want to turn that on?
So the latest news in terms of the community college system and the state system are actually linked because they're all California colleges. And so a part of the goal of community college is to help students to transfer from a 2-year college to a 4-year college like San Jose State or San Francisco State or Berkeley or all that. They're having a huge problem getting students out of community college and into the state system. It's taking kids 4-6 years just to do community college, which normally should take about 1.5 to 2 years. So that's the first issue, is the transferring in is not easy, okay? Once you do get in, you're responsible for paying the tuition for at least 2 years. And I do also happen to know, my brother went to community college first. He did community college for 4 years in Los Angeles, and then he transferred into Berkeley. So it's harder to do that. And he had a 4.0 in community college. So it's really hard to transfer in as a junior. You really have to have very good grades. And I know for sure for private school it's even harder because you're coming in as a 3rd year in a very competitive environment. So he applied here to Stanford, but he was waitlisted. Okay. So yeah, that's what I know about the relationship between junior college and all of the data up there.
So these are them. These are middle school kids in EPATT, and here's how they're doing. Well, let me ask you guys, where are they doing the best? Okay, where are they doing the worst?
Reading.
Yes, and where are they in between?
Tests and quizzes.
That's right. Do we work on homework very much at EPATT?
Yes, only when you have time.
Okay, so that I'm glad that I got mixed answers. So in the middle school group, middle school students have a ton of homework. So it isn't that we don't do it. We do, okay? But we don't do it with the intent of just getting it done. We're doing it so that the kids can understand the concepts, so that they can be ready for tests and quizzes. But one of the biggest struggles that we have in middle school is that students just want to get their homework done, get the homework done, get the homework done, get the homework done. They do not want to stop, think, examine, analyze, engage, and learn. But those are the only things that are helping them prepare for college. But it's a fight. We fight it every day, and it's a good fight. I love it. It's what I do. But I'm here to say that currently I'm fighting a losing battle. You know, I love to say that I win at everything in life, but when it comes to my middle school students, I'm fighting a losing battle currently. Homework is beating me, okay? They're turning it in, they're writing it down, you know, they're keeping track of it. But when they get assessed, oftentimes the demonstration, their ability to demonstrate what they know is lacking, sorely lacking. And then when we do the reading assessments, it demonstrates the stuff they don't have, which is reading skills. We work on it. I have an incentive system. I'm buying movie tickets if they do extra reading. I'm, juggling and doing dances and stuff. But the bar is still where it is. So today, in middle school, if you asked me how college and career ready is my group as a whole, okay, as a whole, we're about here. We have not reached the readiness level that Maribel wants my kids to be at in order to be at the colleges you guys mentioned you wanted them at. So I'm just letting you know, today, January 7th, 2019, the students in EPATT's middle school group are not yet ready for college. That's all I got. Oh, do you want me to do these? Okay, here I go. Now we're moving down to elementary school. I'm just going to let you guys look at it. Because it kind of, she's laughing, it's not me, she's laughing. So I'm just saying, I did not laugh, because it's not funny. So, if you're wondering where the reading number comes from, just in case you're curious, where do we get these red bars? Why are they all red? So all the students at EPATT take a reading assessment that gives us a measure called a Lexile. We know you guys know about it, we talk about it all the time. But this is it. And the elementary school students are here. There's not a lot more I can say about that. I have nothing to add. I'm going to move on. Are there any questions? Okay, I didn't think so. Okay, what I also wanted to talk about in terms of elementary school is one of the things that elementary school group has that Maribel and I don't have as much of in our group is we purchased technology where the kids can practice building math and reading skills at home. We do it, Maribel and I use the Achieve 3000. You probably have heard of that. So we have Achieve, and that's, an option. In the elementary school group, we have a mixture of services that they can use, including Achieve, RAS. We have, do you have one more reading one that I'm forgetting? Because I can't remember the names of all of them.
We have Achieve, we have RAS, we have Kids Discover.
That's it.
For the reading.
For the reading side.
For the math, we have Khan Academy, and we have Imagine Math.
There we go. Thank you.
So basically what you're looking at is the amount of time that you all spent from December 1st to January 3rd on your reading and on your math. Because here's what I will say. When Keisha said one thing that Maribel and Keisha don't have that I do have in terms of elementary, we have time.
Time. That's so true. You guys have time.
We have time. They don't have time because they have tons of homework. And so do they. They have homework and applications, and they're supposed to be really busy.
And
that's
have
the thing
jobs
about, right.
and sports and...
Right. So the one thing we have above both of these groups is time. But if you're not using the time right now wisely. So the question mark right there was basically for me. Before, there wasn't even going to be anything up there. It was just going to be a question mark. Because I had a lot of trouble looking at this, especially because we met individually with everyone in ESG. And we talked about what do we need to do to improve this. So for me, I'm just that question mark is what's in my brain right now. Because I don't know.
So we're going from this. So this is where our reading is. And then this reflects how much time the students have spent on the software programs, because the programs report to us just time spent. I believe if you want to know how much time your individual child has spent, we will have that available. So is that, just so that I understand the number, Christina, that's 0.14 of a percent? Or 0.65?
If you put it on a scale of a 4.0.
Okay, that's where it would reach.
0.14, but the amount of minutes average to something like 20 minutes.
Okay, so you translated minutes into our 4-point scale.
Yes.
And that's where it went. Okay, so in reading, so our math time is a little better than our reading time, but overall we still, so these are the real statistics. These are the information that we have available. I have a question for you guys. So did you notice a pattern in the results for each group? Do you guys see any patterns between the three? Reading is awesome. Now, is it news to you that our reading is low as a group? No, I know, because I know. Miss Rivera's like, how many times are you going to tell me that, Keisha? I know, right? I feel like I keep saying the same thing, in a different way. But what we're talking about today isn't about long term. It's about actions, and it's about today. And like those two gentlemen at the beginning, right? Like they talked about what they had to do. It was all extra stuff. It was all extra. Now, you figured it out, but I want to show you what it looks like if we put them all together. So, if we follow the path from what happens at home, to how well they do in elementary school group, to how well they do in middle, to how well they do in reading, we see a trend that looks kind of like this when it comes to reading. So far, if everything stays the same, so if 2019 is the same as 2018, this could be our path. We're hoping, as we continue to improve our processes here and everybody else continues to improve their processes, that we can move these bars, but they only move by directed actions, right? So you can take a moment, but I think, the pattern kind of speaks for itself. Yes, Bridget.
Is that the reading that they can't read, or is it reading that you guys give them that they're not doing?
Thank you. So you want to understand better what the reading measure says. That's a great question. So the Lexile, the measure that we're using to say how well they read, right, is actually a measure of their ability to comprehend a text at grade level. And here's why. They've already done a study that has examined how hard a college textbook is. So they took that, the vocabulary words in it and all the things that you needed to know to read a college textbook, okay? And they gave that a number. And that number is around 1390, something like that. So let's say 1400, just to make it even. So the difficulty level, okay, the term they use is the text complexity, okay, of a college textbook is 1400. All right? So that's where we're trying to reach. And then what they did was they scaled that backwards. And they said, okay, well, if 1400 is the goal to be able to read a college textbook and understand it as a freshman now. Because obviously, as you advance in college, the text should also become more complex. But let's just say for the freshman year, okay? 1400 is where we're reaching, and then they just scaled it backwards, right? So the number that we give you guys when we tell you guys your child's Lexile level, right, is saying that how hard of a book can they read? Can they read a 7th grade textbook and understand it and comprehend it fully? Can they read, so if they're in 4th grade, can they read the 4th grade textbook? If they're in 5th grade, can they read the 5th grade textbook? And so on and so forth. So this number says how well they can read a book for their level. And so if I am in Maribel's group and I'm like an 11th or 12th grader, I would want to have a 1390 or better. A 1390 is just barely making it in too. Right? You know what I'm saying? Safely, I want to be over a 1400 because I want to hit college ready. And so there's a scale for each and every single grade that says what the number is that they should be reaching. And we can give it to you. It's online. There are many ways to examine it. And so the test that they take on Achieve is a test made by the company that created this number in the first place. And so that's what you're seeing when you look at the red. It means that they have not reached their level for their grade. So my middle school students are not fully able to read middle school texts and comprehend them the way they should. They may be more similar to, in many cases, 4th grade comprehension, and in some cases lower than that, on average. Someone's at the door, honey. Can you get that? It's the pizza man I ordered for all of us. So great. Thank you for. Does that answer your question? Thank you for asking that. Because I think I've assumed that you guys have been here long enough to know, but maybe we haven't done a good enough job explaining what the number means. Okay? One of my students in my group, speaking of reading, he asked me very candidly, well, Keisha, why every time I take this test, I do poorly, but in school I have an A, right? And we had many class sessions where me and his classmates had to explain to him the difference between how you can do on a test that's just you and the test, and you've got to know it, versus how you can do when your teacher's giving you context, and homework, and group talk, and discussions, and all these other things that help you ascertain meaning and comprehension. But when you have to read it and know what it means on your own with no help, how well do you do? And in that case, he did very poorly. And so, these are the facts. So you might be asking yourself at this point, well, okay, that's nice that the group is like that, Keisha, but what about mine? So we have the college and career reports, like I said, and we'll be giving, I think high school group and middle school are here. You can pick them up when you leave. Elementary school group, told you about our database. It's in progress, guys. Please, please, please be patient. We will have that for you in about 2 weeks. But if you want to know how much time your child is spending on the devices or on the programs that we have, that is readily available. We have everyone's Lexile scores too, so that's also readily available. So you don't have to wait on that. Okay, so speaking of your personal house again. So the question that we want everybody to, wow, this is like going to be the shortest meeting in the universe. Okay, the question that we'd like you guys to think about this year is, will you go the extra mile, spend the extra time, extra money, extra sacrifices to see your child advance in reading? Because this year, 2019, our focus at EPATT will be reading, right? And so I know people who have traveled for sports, right? Their kid is competing in a tournament or a competition or a performance, and they're driving this place. They're buying tickets to that. They're taking them to tryouts. There's a lot, sometimes you guys are willing to do a lot of extra for certain things, but we want people to think differently about doing extra to build reading. So the workshops this quarter will be all focused on what does the extra look like? How can you do extra? Where can you do extra? What's the extra that will make a difference? And EPATT, as always, we'll be trying to do our best to do extra, because if the bar here is going to go into the yellow or the green, the current efforts that we've been making aren't enough. We'll have to do something extra. And I think if I could say anything about the extra that's required for this, it isn't actually going to be a lot of money in most cases. It's usually a lot of time and mental capacity. The extra may come out of your sanity, right? Because you're going to have to change some things maybe about the structures that you have in place. Whether it's games time or video games or time spent on the weekend or whatever else, but something we'll have to give if we want Maribel, when they get to Maribel's group, if you guys stay here that long, if you want them to get to Maribel's group and be competitive and go to the college that you want them to go to.
I want everyone to understand, in ESG, all of your kids have access to all 3 online reading curriculums at your house, okay? So that's the average time that your actual kids did it over break, right? We had hoped over break, if they were on it for 10 minutes a day from December 1st to January 3rd, if they did 10 minutes a day over the break of reading, that would have equaled 5 hours and 30 minutes of reading extra for the group at home. But as I'm looking at the statistics, can anyone tell me the average reading time that your kids did during that time? Remember I said,
Out of 5 hours?
out of the 5 hours and 30 minutes, how much reading did your kids do on this technology that, I might add, EPATT spends thousands of dollars to give to you for free? How much time did your kids spend on this technology doing the extra reading? Can anyone give me a guess?
50 minutes.
50 minutes. Can I get some other answer?
5 minutes.
5 minutes. We got a winner.
Is that it?
5 minutes. So,
In,
over Thanksgiving break, over
Christmas.
Christmas break, I'm trying to lose weight. So I ate prime rib, I ate turkey, I ate all sorts of stuff. Green beans, sweet potatoes, all this sort of stuff. I ate, not a salad, I ate 1 carrot. Sounds kind of stupid, right? Hey, I'm trying to lose weight. What did you eat? Oh, I had pie, I had yams, I had green beans, I had prime rib, I had turkey, but I ate 1 carrot. That's the equivalent of what your kids did at home during their reading. They had a chance to do 5 hours and 30 minutes. That's 10 minutes a day. Our average time was 5 minutes, folks. That's a carrot. So the reading scores is not only what they're doing at EPATT, but what you guys, moms and dads, are having your kids do at home or not do at home. And this has to be a focus. I have found in my life, at the age of 52 years old, I'll admit it, I have to do more of the things that I don't like.
Mm-hmm.
Right? I like to eat pizza, I like to watch TV, I like to sit on the couch. I probably should eat more salad, probably should go work out, and probably should do some chores. And that's just life. And the sooner your kids can understand that these are the things that are going to be successful. Because here's the thing, guys. If your kid can't read, they can't understand the history. They can't understand the science homework. They can't understand
Nothing.
anything. Math. Because math is about reading now. So the basic foundation, like Keisha said at the beginning, right? We're building this house, right? And it just fell over with that. It didn't take much for your kid to crumble. And we're trying to make them compete against other kids in this community so that we can keep this thing going. So your kids get stronger and your kids can have a job. So we can work in Silicon Valley, so we can live here. So really, I think the challenge that Keisha's about to say is we got to put it on the family, is that you have access to all this technology at home, but you got to get your kids on it. Okay? Because they ate 1 carrot. We didn't even get a salad in there, you know? We got 1 carrot, maybe 1 cherry tomato, right? But that's all we ate. And we said, I'm on a diet. That carrot did it. I'm good. I don't need any more. But that's what happens when I just checked out the sheet. And the math wasn't that much bigger. It was only 27 minutes out of the 5 hours and 30 minutes. So maybe that was like, you know, a couple bites of lettuce there.
EPATT actually starts this Wednesday. It's not tutoring. It'll be our opportunity to get the kids back in the building, get everybody warmed up and back on schedule. The tutors will start coming in on Monday and Tuesday of next week. EPATT is innovating. Christina and I just came, and the rest of the academic staff. We've just been teaching a class. So now EPATT has a Stanford University course that started today where tutors are taking a class and then they tutor. And we're doing that too. We're trying all these different ways, I'm just saying, to get more tutors here, to get them better prepared to tutor your students effectively. So we keep adding layers of things because we aren't done figuring out, you know, this very important puzzle for how do we help and how are we more effective at helping our students achieve college readiness. Any questions about any of that? All right, anything administrative that I may have forgotten? Then I want to say Happy New Year on behalf of the staff, and we will see you guys this week. Thank you very much.